Hello, everyone. I was speaking today at a conference on the topic of financial education and its impact on the economy at a conference for Junior Achievement Malta. Now, I was presenting virtually as I needed to be here this week in Ireland as there's lots going on. And the first thing I did with this session is that I put a question to the audience to say, if we really got this right, if we got financial education really right in a country, what do you think the outcomes would be? And the answers were reduced poverty and greater retirement planning and greater housing and greater affordability and all sorts of other things. And as I commented, there wasn't a single negative answer. There is no downside to improving the financial education of whatever demographic in an economy. And therefore, I went on from there and I said, what happens if a nation, whether that's through governments or whether that's through schools or whether that's through organizations, etc., what happens when we don't provide financial education? Well, three things is what happens. Number one is that you've greater inequality, whether that might be wealth inequality or income inequality. And I quoted a paper that pointed out that we could reduce 30 to 40% of the wealth gap at retirement if people learn how to pursue greater returns from the stock market. That's not to say that everybody would pursue them, but if they know how, at least they can make the choice. The second statistic that I quoted was from Qualtrics, where they noted that 52% of Gen Z turned to TikTok for financial advice. And the third point that I raised is that you can also then lead to greater regulation. We are seeing auto enrolment is a big topic in Ireland at the moment. And over 2 decades ago, it was introduced into Australia, where employers needed to auto enroll their staff. And as a result, the Australian superannuation funds is now 130% of the size of the economy. So in the absence of financial education led by a nation, well, then you see where the answers have to come from. And then the next point I posed is that there are three characteristics at the moment that I think characterises 2024. And I looked at this from a Maltese lens, but they can be extrapolated more broadly. Number one is the intergenerational transfer of wealth. By 2030, there is a projection that $18.3 trillion will have transferred between generations. Now, I have spent a lot of time in Malta over the past 10 years. Gratefully, it's an absolutely wonderful country to do business in, and the people are amazing. But I certainly know about how intergenerational transactions happen, whether it might be families lending to each other across the different generations, or the impact of inheritance, or a range of other things that I would have been working with people in understanding the dynamics of when I was delivering financial training in there over the past, as I say, the past decade. So when we're thinking about intergenerational transfer of wealth, we're looking at an occasion that's happening that we really haven't seen before. And think about the impact of this. If it's wrong, but think about it if it goes right. Think about the impact that it would have for lifestyle and for the way in which future generations would make decisions with their money, and all of the debt burdens that could be released and all sorts of other things. And then the second issue, of course, is an issue that's common between Ireland and Malta, and that is a reduced ability for people to be able to own their own homes. Partly that's due to a rise in price since I'm going to make sure that I have my number here right. Yeah, over the past 15 years, the increase in the house prices in Malta, according to Eurobarometer, has increased by 62%. There is a shortage of housing in Malta, according to the number of people who want to buy houses. And that pertains also to rental properties as well. Again, an issue that is shared with Ireland. So why is that happening? Well, it's happening for a number of reasons. Number one is that more people have jobs. More people are earning more, and more people in a household are earning more, and therefore that pushes up property prices. So if then you're in a position where people who are starting out, who are on lower wages, possibly trying to buy a house on their own, in an environment where they can't buy, and of course even worse if they can't rent, well then that presents a really big challenge. It presents a challenge of how do people actually get onto the property ladder, but the other thing is how do you fix the social problems that happen along with them, while you don't completely devalue a housing stock because people who own them won't be happy, but yet you make accessible housing accessible. Well, one of the things you can do is help people make better financial decisions at every stage along the way, so that the pursuit that they want to pursue becomes more feasible for them, and at least they know the way of getting there. And then, of course, the third point that characterises 2024 is longer lifespans. Since 2000, and that was 4 years before Malta joined the EU, the World Health Organization has noted the life expectancy in Malta has increased by 4 years. Now, that is a very positive development, and it's due to a range of different things. But also, of course, there are financial consequences to that, including that people have to have ways to fund their lifestyles for longer. And also the difference between the age they might retire at and live to is also another point that they need to consider. And of course, the older one gets, the less time they have for the power of compounding, or to put more of their, or to put a portion of their wages into work in a pension, or indeed the older they get, the more restricted they may be in terms of employment. So you take those 3 points together. You take the intergenerational transfer of wealth. You look at the change in the possibility to own your own home, and the fact that people are living longer. And it just really drives home the importance of making sure that financial education is something that happens. But here's where I think it's going wrong. 2 things. One is that we conflate financial literacy with good financial decision making. Just because somebody knows how to calculate inflation does not mean that they know necessarily how to budget. Just because somebody knows what the power of compounding is, or how to calculate interest rates, doesn't mean that they're actually going to put their money to work at it. And therefore, I think we can't conflate the two, because in my opinion, financial decision making comes with, yes, financial literacy, but also with digital literacy, the ability to log into your accounts and get the right information, the ability to use supermarkets, price comparison websites, so that when you're sitting at home and you're looking at your phone, that you can actually determine where one can get a better energy price, or where you can get a better offer on something, or how you can sign up to receive special offers when they come out. And they're tiny things, or where it might be how to look for the best form of business finance, or how to get, in 2 minutes, how to get the best offering that's available for mortgages at the moment. Any of those things, unless you're digitally literate and digitally comfortable, well, then that's going to be an awful lot harder. And the third thing I think that one needs as well is a personal development mindset. Is you have to want these things. You have to want to be interested in figuring out how to maximize your pension, or even understand how to set up a pension, or to put contributions to a pension on autopilot. You have to want to have financial goals, and actually want these things. Or you have to be able to want to potentially have more, whether it's work-life balance, or want to set up a side hustle and to have another business, or not another business, but maybe a business, or maybe to be able to retire at a certain point, or go on different holidays, or reduce down to a 4-day working week, or whatever. They're all personal development goals. So I think we need all those 3 in order to actually have better financial decision making. And of course, financial education underpins that. But I think the digital literacy and the mindset that comes with it is also an important part. The second thing where I think we get this wrong is that I think we don't speak to people in a language that they want or are comfortable at. So often we talk about having a rainy day fund. Why talk about have a rainy day fund and not talk about have a sunny day fund? People don't want to think about the bad things that then they can save to prevent, because it sometimes feels like an element of the law of attraction. If I don't save towards it, well, then it mightn't happen. Whereas talk about enthusiasm, or imagine having money so that then if a good opportunity to invest, or a good opportunity to go on holiday, or a good opportunity to buy a house, or a good opportunity to buy garden furniture, or an opportunity, whatever it might be, is imagine having a sunny day fund where the money is there so that you can take advantage of opportunities and move forward from there. This is what I think we need to change the narrative around money, is that it's something that's really good and positive. So let's engage with it accordingly. And the other thing too is let's simplify the jargon. So I asked a question today. Which makes more sense? Do you understand tax relief on your pension, or do you understand how much money you're not keeping and giving to the government instead because you haven't set up a pension? Let's talk to people in a language they understand. That's the reason they're turning to TikTok, is let's simplify it. And also, then I moved away and I finished on this hypothesis, which is this. Money can mean different power dynamics in relationships. It means more choice. It means more autonomy around the lifestyle that you have. It means, when you look at the psychology of money that Morgan Housel wrote, he talks about having savings is simply having the time to make the decisions that matter more to you, whether it's where you spend your time, or where you work, or where you're going to earn your money in the future, etc. So let's just think about financial education as the possibilities for what it offers Please.